When God is about to give you something big, when life itself begins to rearrange the furniture of your destiny, there are whispers that rise before the blessing appears. They come quietly, like dawn slipping its golden fingers through the cracks of a heavy night. They come not to shock you, but to prepare you. They come to remind you that before a great door opens, the hallway often feels lonely, narrow, and unfamiliar. And yet, that hallway is holy ground. That hallway is where your soul stretches, strengthens, and learns how to breathe in the presence of something greater than what you once believed you deserved. There are seasons in your life when the world presses you on all sides. You feel as if the very walls are moving inward, squeezing your heart, making you question the promise you once held onto so confidently. But let me tell you this truth with the clarity of sunlight: pressure is the fingerprint of transformation. Diamonds are not created in comfort. Purpose is not born in ease. And blessings do not blossom in soil that has never been broken. When God is preparing to hand you something bigger than anything you have ever held, you will feel the ground beneath you tremble. You will feel pieces of your old life loosening from your grip. It is not punishment, it is preparation. It is the clearing of space so that you may receive what has always been meant for you. You will begin to sense a divine discomfort. It is the restlessness that stirs inside you when your spirit has outgrown the place your body is still standing in. Suddenly, what you once tolerated becomes unbearable. The things you once accepted with quiet resignation now scratch your soul like wool against bare skin. You begin to feel that you were not meant to stay the same, to shrink yourself into corners, or to dim your flame so others would not feel blinded by your light. That discomfort is a messenger, tapping at the door of your awareness, whispering, "Rise." You are being called higher. And when that voice comes, you must honor it. For it is the same voice that has guided you out of storms you thought would drown you, out of heartbreak you thought would bury you, out of nights you thought would never find a sunrise. As the blessing approaches, relationships shift like tides. People who once felt like home may begin to feel like history. Their words, once warm, may turn cold. Their presence, once comforting, may now feel heavy. And you may ask yourself why the ones you cared for the most are drifting away. But understand this: God will not allow anyone to occupy space that has been reserved for your destiny. Sometimes goodbyes are not rejections. They are redirections. They are the clearing of the stage before the next act begins. When people leave you without warning, when conversations fade without closure, when the familiar dissolves without explanation, do not chase after what is already behind you. Blessings do not bloom in backward soil. You cannot receive tomorrow while holding tightly to yesterday. Let go gently, let go fully. Let go with gratitude for what was and for what is yet to come. There will come a moment when your life feels unsettlingly quiet. Not the peaceful quiet that brings rest to the weary, but the empty quiet, the quiet that makes you wonder whether God Himself has stepped away from the room. You pray, but the answers do not come. You try, but the doors do not open. You hope, but even hope feels tired. Yet that silence is not abandonment, it is alignment. The seeds planted in your spirit must rest before they rise. The soil must be still before the roots can deepen. And your soul must be silent before it can hear the next instruction. Do not fear that quiet. It is the breath before breakthrough. It is the pause before the promise. It is the moment when heaven holds its breath, because what is being shaped for you is so big, so precise, so sacred, that even angels stand still. And then there is the sign of unexpected strength, the kind of strength you did not know you had until life demanded it. The strength that rises in you when you look at everything you have survived and realize you are still standing, still breathing, still rising. You may not feel powerful in the moment. You may feel tired, worn, even bruised by the weight of waiting. But strength is not always loud. Sometimes strength is the quiet decision to keep going. Sometimes it is the whisper that says, "Not today, but someday." Sometimes it is the steady heartbeat that refuses to give up even when the mind is weary and the soul is trembling. This strength is a signal. It is God saying, "You are ready," even if you don't know it yet. You will also notice opportunities. Not the ones you chase, but the ones that chase you. Conversations that appear out of nowhere. Doors you did not knock on swinging open. People arriving in your life who speak to the future you are growing into, not the past you have outgrown. Pay attention to these moments. They are not accidental. They are divine reminders that blessings are not earned by perfection, but positioned by purpose. They come to guide you, to connect you, to elevate you into the space you were always destined to inhabit. And then, perhaps the greatest sign of all, an unexplainable peace. The kind of peace that settles over you like a soft blanket on a cold night. A peace that does not depend on circumstances or clarity, but simply exists because you know deep in your spirit that something good is coming. You cannot explain it to others. You cannot articulate it in full sentences. You just know. You know that every tear you cried was counted. Every heartbreak you endured was seen. Every struggle you survived was recorded, and every prayer you whispered in the dark was heard. This peace is not weakness. It is confidence in what you cannot yet see. It is faith standing tall inside of you, stretching itself toward the blessing that has already been written in your name. You must remember that when God prepares something big for you, it rarely arrives in the wrapping you expect. It does not descend like a miracle tucked in golden ribbons. Sometimes it rises out of the ashes of everything you thought you lost. Sometimes it emerges from the pain you thought would break you. Sometimes it comes disguised as change, as endings, as disruption. But beneath it all, the blessing is there, steady, patient, forming itself quietly in the background of your life. You may not see it happening, but every second moves you closer to it. Every step, even the ones you take in confusion, guides you toward it. Every moment of surrender shapes you for it. So when you feel the signs, do not run from them. Lean into them. Let discomfort stretch you. Let silence mature you. Let separation cleanse you. Let peace anchor you. And let faith carry you. You were not created to live a small life. You were not designed to dwell forever in the shadow of your fears. You were crafted with intention, molded with meaning, and placed here with purpose. And the blessing that is coming is not coming to simply decorate your life. It is coming to transform it. You have walked through storms that would have broken others. You have stood in fires that tried to consume you. You have carried burdens that made your knees tremble, yet you did not fall. You kept rising. You kept breathing. You kept believing, even when belief felt like lifting mountains with trembling hands. And that alone is enough proof that you are ready for what is coming. Because blessings do not fall on the unprepared. They fall on those who have been refined, tested, humbled, and strengthened by life. And you, yes, you are stronger than you know. There will be days when the blessing finally arrives, and you will look back on everything you went through with a new kind of understanding. Not because the pain disappears, but because you finally see the purpose behind it. You will realize that every closed door was a shield. Every loss was a lesson. Every delay was divine timing. Every disappointment was a redirection. And every moment of waiting was a thread in the tapestry of something far greater than you could have dreamed. Do not doubt the process. Do not question your worthiness. Do not shrink yourself into corners of fear. What is coming has been crafted with your name engraved into its core. It is tailored to your spirit, aligned with your purpose, and shaped to fit the exact contours of your calling. And when it comes, when God finally places that blessing in your hands, you will not feel overwhelmed. You will feel at home. Because blessings never arrive early, never arrive late, and never arrive unfinished. They come at the moment your spirit is strong enough to hold them, wise enough to appreciate them, and brave enough to grow with them. So stand tall. The signs are already whispering around you. Something big is coming. Bigger than your fear, bigger than your doubt, bigger than the seasons that tried to bury you. And when it arrives, you will not just receive it, you will rise into it. When your intuition begins to sharpen, it does not announce itself with trumpets or lightning. It arrives quietly, as a gentle tug beneath your ribs, a whisper that feels older than your body and wiser than your years. You may not even notice it at first, because intuition rarely arrives in grand gestures. It comes in the soft hesitations, the lingering thoughts, the sudden need to pause before you step forward, or the unexplainable urge to move in a direction that makes no logical sense at the time. When God is preparing to give you something big, your intuition becomes one of the first instruments He tunes. It begins to vibrate with new clarity, alerting you to things you would have overlooked, guiding you away from places you no longer belong, and pointing you toward moments that carry destiny in their hands. You will find yourself feeling things before you understand them. A place you once enjoyed may suddenly feel heavy, as though the air itself no longer welcomes you. A friendship you once cherished may now feel misaligned, even if nothing dramatic has happened. You may walk into a room and sense that it is not where you are meant to be anymore. This sensitivity is not random. It is spiritual preparation. It is your internal compass recalibrating itself, moving you toward the blessing God has already set aside for you. Intuition sharpens when your future is calling you louder than your past. It begins removing the noise, dissolving illusions, and pulling your awareness toward the path that has been quietly unfolding beneath your feet. You will start receiving small nudges in your day. To-day life, little flashes of insight that feel like inner instructions. You might be washing dishes and a sudden thought rises, urging you to prepare for something new. You might be sitting in silence and an idea enters your mind with unusual force, like a seed waiting for soil. You may find yourself waking in the middle of the night with a sense that something is shifting, something is approaching, something is aligning on your behalf. And though you cannot explain these feelings, though you cannot trace them to logical reasoning, they feel true. They feel real. They feel like guidance. That is the power of intuition when God is positioning you for something greater. It speaks in ways the mind cannot argue with, in languages the soul instantly understands. You may begin to notice that your intuition alerts you before danger or disappointment. You sense when someone's intentions are not genuine, even if their words sound perfect. You sense when an opportunity looks attractive, but carries a cost that your spirit cannot afford. You sense when a door is closing for your protection, not your punishment. This heightened awareness is not meant to make you fearful. It is meant to make you faithful. It teaches you to trust that inner pull, that quiet voice, that subtle shift within you. It teaches you to walk not by sight but by insight, not by noise but by knowing. And then there are moments when your intuition urges you to make bold decisions. Decisions that feel uncomfortable but necessary. Decisions that require courage because they do not come with guarantees. You may feel called to leave a job, end a relationship, move to a new place, start a project, or release something that has been weighing down your spirit. These impulses do not rise out of recklessness, but out of alignment. They come when your current life can no longer hold the magnitude of the blessing that is approaching. You will feel the shift before you see the change. You will feel the call before the door appears. Intuition is the bridge between your now and your next. Sometimes intuition speaks through discomfort. A restlessness grows within you, a dissatisfaction with routines that once felt comfortable. You no longer feel nourished by what once fed you. You no longer feel safe in spaces where you once found refuge. This is not a sign that you are lost. It is a sign that you are evolving. Intuition reveals the cracks in your environment before they become collapse. It shows you where you are shrinking. It shows you where you are settling. And it urges you toward expansion, toward growth, toward the unknown future that God has prepared. There will also be moments when your intuition leads you toward people who play a role in your next chapter. You may meet someone and instantly feel a sense of familiarity, as though your spirits recognize each other. They may speak words that confirm what you have been feeling. They may point you in a direction you had not considered. They may arrive just as you are preparing to step into something new. Intuition does not work alone. It aligns circumstances, connections, and conversations that reinforce the path God is opening for you. The more you listen, the clearer it becomes. The clearer it becomes, the more your life begins to shift in ways you cannot deny. As your intuition strengthens, you will find that you no longer need external validation. You no longer seek approval for your choices, because you know they are not rooted in opinions. They are rooted in divine instruction. You begin to trust your inner voice more than the voices around you. You begin to honor your feelings, not as random emotions, but as signals meant to guide you. You begin to understand that intuition is not just a feeling, it is a form of spiritual intelligence. It is the wisdom that lives beneath your ribs, the knowing that cannot be taught but can always be trusted. And with this sharpened intuition comes a deeper sense of self-respect. You no longer remain where your soul feels unwelcome. You no longer engage in conversations that drain your energy. You no longer ignore the warnings your heart gives you. You no longer delay changes that your spirit has been urging you to make. You step out of cycles that once trapped you, because you can now see them clearly. You walk away from patterns that once deceived you, because you can now feel the misalignment instantly. This clarity is not something you force, it is something you receive. It is a gift that comes when your life is preparing to expand, when God is shaping you to carry something bigger than before. Gradually, you begin to see that intuition is not only guidance toward blessings, it is guidance away from burdens. It shows you who is genuine and who is temporary. It reveals intentions hidden beneath charm. It exposes opportunities wrapped in deception. It warns you when your spirit is in danger. This inner guidance system strengthens when your blessing is near, because God does not want you to miss what He has prepared for you. He sharpens your intuition so that you do not sabotage your own future by clinging to what was never meant to go with you. You may also notice synchronicities, moments of alignment that feel too perfect to be random. A phrase you needed to hear is spoken by a stranger. A message that confirms your direction appears at the exact right time. A door that felt impossible to open suddenly unlocks without effort. These signs are the language of intuition. They are the universe echoing what your spirit already knows. They remind you that you are being guided, supported, and led by something greater than yourself. As your intuition sharpens, you begin to walk with deeper confidence. Not the loud confidence that demands attention, but the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are guided. You begin to trust the timing of your life. You begin to move with intention instead of impulse. You begin to recognize that every instinct, every nudge, every whisper inside you is part of a divine conversation. It is the way God prepares you for what you cannot yet see. It is the way your future calls out to you, asking you to rise, to align, to make room for the blessing that is making its way toward your life. Through this sharpening, you become more grounded, more aware, more connected to your purpose. You start to notice how your spirit reacts to different environments. You pay attention to the energy people bring into your space. You honor the sensations that move through you when something feels right or wrong. You no longer dismiss your instincts as imagination. You treat them as truth. This shift happens naturally because intuition thrives in seasons of divine preparation. It becomes louder when your blessing grows nearer. It becomes clearer when you are stepping into a new chapter. It becomes stronger when your spirit is ready to receive what you once thought was too big for you. And as intuition becomes a steady companion, you feel a deep alignment that cannot be explained logically. You feel guided even when the path is uncertain. You feel supported even when the steps are unfamiliar. You feel protected even when you walk away from things you once depended on. This inner knowing becomes your anchor, holding you steady through transitions, guiding you through silence, pointing you toward the next stage of your life with a sense of purpose that grows stronger with every passing day. When blessings for others no longer make you jealous, but instead inspire you, that is one of the clearest signs that something big is forming in your own life. It is a transformation that happens quietly, almost imperceptibly, as your spirit matures. You begin to look at the success of others not as a threat, but as evidence that the universe is still delivering goodness. You stop comparing timelines. Stop competing with destinies that are not yours. Stop measuring your worth by someone else's chapter. Instead, you feel something shift within you, an inner peace that whispers, "If it can happen for them, it can happen for me too." This shift is a spiritual elevation, a sign that your heart is being prepared to receive what God has already written in your name. In earlier seasons of life, jealousy often arises from fear. Fear that you are being overlooked. Fear that you are running out of time. Fear that there is not enough goodness to go around. Fear that your prayers are echoing unanswered in the halls of heaven, while others are receiving their miracles. But when your heart begins to mature, when your spirit begins to align with its future, that fear dissolves. You no longer believe that blessings are scarce. You begin to understand that abundance is not a pie set on a table with limited slices. It is an ever-flowing river, and every soul has access to its waters. You recognize that what is meant for you cannot be taken by another, and what is delivered to someone else was never meant to be yours. As this realization spreads through your heart, jealousy loses its grip. You feel lighter, freer. The success of others doesn't trigger insecurity. It triggers hope, gratitude, and anticipation. You start celebrating their victories with genuine joy. You clap for them without hesitation. Your heart lifts when you watch someone rise. You begin to see their blessings as confirmation of what is possible, not as commentary on your own delays. This emotional shift is not small, it is profound. It means your heart is ready for expansion. It means you are no longer driven by fear but by faith. It means you can now hold the kind of blessing that once would have overwhelmed you. There comes a moment when you realize that envy comes from believing you are behind, but inspiration comes from knowing you are becoming. When your foundation is rooted in faith rather than comparison, your entire inner world begins to change. You no longer question the timing of your life. You no longer ask why others are receiving what you have prayed for. Instead, you understand that every blessing has its appointed hour, and your hour is being woven in silence, prepared behind the scenes, shaped by a divine wisdom you may not yet comprehend. This trust reshapes your emotions. It lets you look at someone else's success and feel uplifted by it instead of threatened. It lets you see their breakthrough as a sign that breakthrough itself is near. You also begin to view people differently. You stop seeing them as competitors and start seeing them as reflections of possibility. Their achievements become lessons, examples, roadmaps, and encouragements. You feel admiration instead of bitterness. You feel happiness instead of heaviness. You feel connected instead of divided. When your heart reaches this level of maturity, It is a powerful indicator that you are moving into a season where you will no longer sabotage your own blessings with envy or insecurity. God does not place abundance into hands that are clenched in comparison. He places it into hands that are open, grateful, ready, and humble enough to celebrate others even before they themselves receive. This shift in your emotional state also prepares your spirit for the weight of the blessing coming your way. Blessings are not just gifts. They are responsibilities, elevations, expansions. They require emotional stability and spiritual grounding. When you can celebrate someone else's rise without feeling diminished, it shows that you have healed parts of yourself that once felt unworthy or unseen. It shows you have developed resilience, patience, and self-awareness. It shows that you are no longer ruled by scarcity thinking. Your heart has moved into a space where it can hold more, receive more, appreciate more. You will notice that as jealousy fades, gratitude swells. You begin to appreciate what you already have instead of mourning what you lack. You start noticing the blessings that once felt too ordinary to acknowledge. The roof over your head, the breath in your lungs, the opportunities unfolding in small but meaningful ways, the lessons born from struggle, the strength that came from surviving seasons you thought would break you. Gratitude expands your capacity to receive. It builds a stronger foundation for greater blessings to stand upon. And when gratitude joins inspiration, it forms an emotional combination that is magnetic, powerful, and deeply aligned with divine timing. Your perspective of delays also changes. You begin to understand that waiting is not punishment, it is preparation. You see others receiving what you long for and feel encouraged rather than discouraged. You say, "I'm next," not with envy, but with expectation. You feel excitement rising in your spirit because you know that God is still in the neighborhood, still working, still delivering, still blessing His children. And if He is doing it for someone else today, He can do it for you tomorrow, or next week, or next month. This kind of expectation is not desperation. It is trust. It is the kind of trust that moves mountains within your own heart, clearing away doubt, fear, and insecurity. As this emotional transformation settles into your life, you begin to attract better energy. Jealousy repels blessings, inspiration attracts them. When you shift from resentment to genuine joy for others, you vibrate at a frequency that aligns you with abundance. You become receptive, open-hearted, ready for doors to open and opportunities to find you. You carry an energy that others recognize: light, hopeful, grounded, gracious. People feel safe near you because you do not compete, you do not envy, you do not measure yourself against them. You embody peace, confidence, and purpose, and that makes room for people, resources, and blessings to flow toward you rather than away from you. This transformation also strengthens your relationships. When you are no longer jealous of others, you become a better friend, partner, sibling, colleague. You uplift others without secretly wishing the spotlight were on you. You support their dreams with sincerity. You cheer them on, knowing that encouragement is a seed that grows in every direction, including your own. This shift deepens your connections and draws supportive, kind-hearted people into your life. The energy you give is the energy that returns to you, multiplied. There will be moments when you witness the blessings of others and feel something awaken inside you. Not envy, not frustration, but possibility. You will feel hope stirring again. You will feel your faith lifting its head. You will feel a soft voice saying, "You are getting closer." This voice is not imagination. It is intuition aligned with divine timing. It is your spirit recognizing that what you are witnessing is not someone else's miracle alone, but a sign of the season you are stepping into. And as this shift deepens, you stop rushing. You stop forcing. You stop begging life to move faster. Instead, you settle into the rhythm of your own journey. You begin to trust that what is meant for you cannot pass you by. You begin to understand that the blessing coming your way is not small, not ordinary, not something that could have been given prematurely. It requires a prepared heart, and your heart is preparing itself every time you choose inspiration over jealousy. You become more patient, not because the wait is easy, but because you finally understand that the promise is worth it. You grow more compassionate, more understanding, more peaceful within yourself. You stop asking, "Why not me?" and start saying, "My time is coming." People's victories become fuel for your hope. Their breakthroughs become proof that miracles still happen. Their success becomes a mirror reflecting your own future, rather than a reminder of what you lack. This is the spiritual elevation that signals your blessing is near. When your heart can celebrate others without shrinking, when you can witness someone else's moment without questioning your own worth, when you can genuinely feel joy for others while still waiting for your own miracle, it means you have stepped into alignment. It means you are ready to receive. It means something big is coming, and your spirit knows it before your eyes do. When an unexplainable peace surrounds you, even when nothing in your physical world has changed yet, it is one of the strongest signs that something enormous is forming in your life. It is a quiet shift, a soft rearranging of your inner landscape, a settling of the storms you once carried within your chest. This peace does not arrive because everything is perfect. It arrives because everything is aligning. It is the soul's way of saying, prepare yourself. Something is coming. And when that peace settles over you, you feel it in a way that cannot be mistaken, because it does not come from logic, circumstances, or comfort. It comes from God's hand moving silently behind the scenes. This peace feels like a release, as though your spirit has finally exhaled after holding its breath for years. You stop trying to control outcomes. You stop forcing situations. You stop clinging to what is slipping away, because you finally understand that what is leaving is making room for what is coming. You stop asking why things aren't happening faster. You stop resenting delays. Instead, you feel held, supported, steadied by something unseen. It is a peace that wraps around you like a warm blanket in cold air, reassuring you without using a single word. It is gentle but powerful, quiet but undeniable. This peace becomes a companion in moments when you should logically feel anxious. People may ask you how you're staying calm, how you're not worried, how you're not overwhelmed by uncertainty, and you may not even know how to explain it. You simply feel carried. You feel anchored. You feel grounded by a trust you didn't manufacture yourself. It is the kind of peace that arrives only when your life is being prepared for a blessing bigger than your understanding. It doesn't remove every problem, but it changes how those problems sit within your heart. The peace comes from knowing that you don't have to chase what is already yours. You don't have to beg for what is meant for you. You don't have to compete for your destiny. You don't have to prove yourself to doors that are not yours to walk through. You don't have to bend, shrink, or break to earn love, opportunities, or belonging. This peace teaches you that what God has prepared for you will find you, even if it has to cross deserts, oceans, or timelines. It teaches you that blessings are not random. They are intentional. They arrive at the exact moment you are ready to hold them. And part of that readiness, part of the preparation, is this calmness rising inside you. You begin to detach from unnecessary battles. Situations that once provoked you now slide off your spirit like water. People who once drained you no longer have access to your energy. Conversations that once triggered you now feel small and distant. This emotional detachment is not numbness, it is elevation. You are rising out of low vibrations, out of cycles that no longer belong to you, out of environments that cannot contain the blessing that is coming. Your soul begins to conserve energy for what is ahead, not for what you are leaving behind. As this peace grows stronger, you will notice your internal dialogue shifting. The self-doubt that once interrupted every dream begins to fade. The fears that once held you hostage lose their power. The worries that kept you awake at night no longer carry the same weight. You start asking different questions. Not, what if things fall apart? But, what if everything is finally coming together? You begin to trust your own resilience. You begin to trust the timing of your life. You begin to trust the lessons that shaped you, even the painful ones. You begin to trust your ability to rise. Peace becomes the soil where new dreams begin to sprout. You feel inspired again, even if you don't know why. You feel hopeful again, even without evidence. You feel a stirring in your heart, a quiet excitement, a sense of expectancy. You wake up with more gratitude and go to sleep with more surrender. This peace becomes a signal that you are entering a new chapter where the things you once begged for will now feel natural, where the blessings that once felt distant will now feel destined. You begin to understand that peace is not the absence of storms, but the presence of divine alignment. In this season, God quiets the noise around you so you can hear the whispers inside you. He softens your fears so you can feel the guidance rising within. He removes distractions so you can recognize the opportunities meant for you. He stills your spirit so you can sense the shift taking place. Peace becomes the language he speaks, not through logic, but through reassurance that bypasses the mind and settles directly into the heart. As peace takes root, clarity follows. You begin to see things for what they are, not what you hoped they would be. You recognize who is meant to stay in your life and who has completed their chapter. You see through false promises, hollow intentions, and superficial connections. You recognize real support, real love, real purpose, real alignment. The fog lifts. The confusion melts. The questions that once tormented you begin to answer themselves. This clarity is a sign that your path is being illuminated, that the next steps are being prepared, that your blessing is drawing closer. You may also notice that the things that once seemed urgent no longer feel important. You stop running after people who do not value you. You stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You stop overthinking every interaction. You stop trying to convince the world of your worth. Peace teaches you that not every battle deserves your energy. Not every invitation deserves your acceptance. Not every situation deserves your presence. You learn to protect your spirit, preserve your energy, and honor your growth. Gradually, your priorities shift. You value your well-being more. You choose rest over chaos. You choose boundaries over burnout. You choose truth over pretending. You choose purpose over pleasing. You choose your future over your fears. This transformation is not accidental. It is orchestrated. Peace is preparing you to step into a life you once thought was out of reach. It is shaping you into the person who can carry the magnitude of the blessing that is coming your way. You may even notice that small miracles begin unfolding. Unexpected opportunities appear. Doors open without force. People show up with solutions you didn't ask for. Conversations happen at perfect moments. You find yourself in the right place at the right time. These signs appear more frequently when peace has settled into your life, because peace puts you in alignment with destiny. It tunes your spirit to the frequency of abundance, clarity, and purpose. When your inner world settles, your outer world begins to shift. This peace also teaches you patience. Not the bitter patience rooted in frustration, but the gentle patience rooted in trust. You stop rushing. You stop demanding life to move faster. You stop measuring yourself against others. You begin to understand that your story is unfolding exactly as it should. You allow things to grow slowly. You allow blessings to form fully. You allow yourself to evolve without pressure. Patience becomes a natural extension of peace, and it prepares you to receive without anxiety, without insecurity, without fear of losing what is meant for you. Slowly, this peace turns into strength. You become resilient in ways you were not before. You feel steady, grounded, anchored in a deeper understanding of who you are and what you deserve. This strength is quiet, not loud, gentle, not aggressive. It is the kind of strength that comes from knowing you are guided by something greater than circumstances. You carry yourself differently. You respond differently. You heal differently. You walk with an inner assurance that cannot be shaken by setbacks, delays, or disappointments. When peace becomes your default state, you know something extraordinary is approaching because peace is the final preparation before elevation. It is the stillness before the breakthrough, the calm before the arrival, the quiet moment before doors swing open. It is the soul's way of preparing space for blessings too big to fit into the chaos you once lived in. Peace is the sign that the blessing is near, because God does not deliver greatness into hands that are trembling with fear or hearts that are crowded with worry. He prepares you inwardly before He elevates you outwardly. This peace also shifts your relationship with yourself. You show yourself more grace. You forgive yourself for the mistakes you made in survival mode. You stop punishing yourself for choices you made with limited knowledge, limited strength, limited clarity. You embrace who you are becoming instead of clinging to who you used to be. You understand that every version of yourself played a role in bringing you to this moment. You grow kinder to your own heart, gentler with your own wounds, more patient with your own evolution. As this inner peace deepens, you begin to trust your own intuition more. You recognize the difference between fear and warning, between restlessness and growth, between divine redirection and self-doubt. You become attuned to the inner signals that guide you toward your destiny. This peace sharpens your awareness, heightens your understanding, strengthens your discernment. You move through moments with a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you are being led, supported, and protected. This peace does not mean life becomes easy. Challenges still come. Storms still form, obstacles still appear. But you face them with a different heart. You no longer collapse under pressure. You no longer spiral into fear. You no longer respond from panic. Instead, you remain rooted in faith. You breathe. You reflect. You respond with wisdom rather than impulse. That is the power of divine peace. It doesn't remove challenges, but it transforms how you move through them. When this peace surrounds you, you notice that you begin to outgrow environments that once felt comfortable. You crave deeper conversations, more meaningful relationships, more fulfilling experiences. You no longer tolerate the chaos you once accepted. You no longer stay in places where your soul feels small. You no longer shrink yourself to fit roles that no longer align with your identity. Peace expands you, stretches you, elevates you. It prepares you for the blessing by shaping you into someone who can hold it without fear, without insecurity, without self-sabotage. This peace is not passive. It is active, alive, transformative. It is the sign that your spirit has stepped into a different frequency, a higher vibration, a deeper level of alignment. It is the internal shift that takes place before the external shift arrives. It is the quiet confirmation that the blessing is not only coming. It is already on its way, moving toward you even now, preparing to intersect with your life at precisely the right moment. And when this peace surrounds you, you begin to feel ready for growth, ready for change, ready for better days, ready for blessings you once felt unprepared to receive, ready to step into a version of yourself that once felt too distant, too impossible, too overwhelming. This readiness is not forced, it is natural. It is the byproduct of trusting the timing of your life, surrendering what you cannot control, and believing that you are worthy of everything that is coming. This peace is the sign that you are entering a new season where you are aligned with what you prayed for, prepared for what you cried for, strengthened for what you waited for, and steady enough to hold what is meant for you.